Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So, welcome everybody to this session of the European Alliance Against Coronavirus. As you know, this session will be recorded and published both in the ECCP website and in the ECAS channels. If you participate, you are accepting that. Thank you for joining us. And today, we will continue with our exploration of the answers that ECA will transmit to the EU Industrial Forum on the industrial policy update that will be taken by the Commission on April. So we will explore today the second question that forum made to us. And I hope to have a very, very interactive and dynamic discussion between us. All your contribution will be of great value to build our answer. But before starting with that point, I want to welcome Jean-Martin from the ECCP that have joined us to share with us the last news on the launch of the new version of the ECCP. Jean-Martin, welcome.
Thank you so much, Antonio, and good morning, everybody. It's fantastic to be back at this wonderful seminar. And thank you so much, Antonio and Nina, for endless commitment to the community and to work on this. I'm here today with my colleague Luca Battusi, who will do most of the presentation, who is inside out, who has the most detailed knowledge. And Luca, you can check with Nina, who puts on this presentation. That would be wonderful. So the relaunch of ECCP has been waited for. It's like the renovation of buildings. They can always be more time. They're complex, but at the end, we're very pleased that we have this week had the so-called soft launch of the new ECCP. Same website, so the same ID, so that doesn't change, but it's a completely new website and with a range of new functionalities. So very quickly, we do this in 2 stages. So the current soft launch, we do it without extensive social media coverage because it's really for the community itself. And the main message and the main request that we have is to update your profiles so that when we go live for the whole world, so to say, in 2 weeks' time at the industry days, that we would have as many updated profiles as possible. So just a few statistics and things that you know already. Actually, the numbers of clusters that are registered keep going up. We are now having 1,249. So that's very, very good. Also, thanks to the hard work of Lucia Seal, who many of you know as well, of course. And also we have more and more registered cluster associations and networks, also thanks to the fantastic networking, including your own work. So we have now new profile types. That's the main innovation of the new website, which includes all the categories on the right side, which are 8 in total. So in addition to the clusters, and so remember the clusters themselves, the European clusters, we also, as well as those from associated ones, we also have the members of cluster organizations. So this could be your individual members, mostly SMEs. We have also the public and policy institutions. We have beta clusters, national cluster associations, training providers, and also we have combined now the resource efficiency support actors, known as ERIC, but obviously the idea is to merge the ERIC and to also bring in all the green cluster actors into one community. But of course, we do that step by step, not to lose and to take most advantage of the fantastic ERIC community as well. So, Luca, I think if you can present a few highlights of the platform, then I think, and we are aware of time, we are hijacking your meeting, so it's very good, we'll be quick. But I think that will be good, Luca, if you present a few more elements. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Jan Martin. So yeah, the new ECCP comes with a brand new offer, an improved offer. Not only the website is improved, but new tools are offered and improved. For example, the statistical cluster mapping now covers all the profiles that Jan Martin has mentioned. There are new areas to discover, in particular on the Green Deal, digitalization, social economy. We are managing a scheme, Cluster Exchange, that offers grants for exchange between clusters and cluster members. And also the whole ERIC community has been merged in the ECCP to boost the green recovery. Cluster managers will be invited to network with resource efficiency providers that will offer their services to the cluster community. And there is a whole repository of best practices offered by JRC to the cluster community. So these are a few numbers just to show you the visibility that the platform can offer, and what does it mean to be on the platform. So just at first glance, you can see the number of visitors is really high. We also have newsletters where we can feature your content upon request. There is a very high number of articles published by the cluster community where you can exchange knowledge and best practices and also publicize your services. These can also relate to specific thematic areas where you can build specific partnerships. You can also promote your own events and publicize them. So this is really in a nutshell what we can offer you. We don't want to steal any more of your time, but please take the time to visit us and to update your profile. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luca. You are not stealing our time. You are a key tool for our activities across Europe. So this is an investment, and we need to be thankful for the launching of the new version of the CCP. Eva, I am happy to see you here. Will you comment?
Thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you very much to Luca and Jan Martin for presenting the new platform. We have not gone completely in the open yet because now, and as they have explained now, the first focus is really on the update of all the more than 1,200 profiles of clusters that we have in the platform. This is extremely important. This is the platform of the European Union, and this is a very good way for everybody here in this meeting really to show the economic strength of the European clusters. It's the only way we have so far to do that. So I can only ask you, so please update your profiles as soon as possible, because this is really in a few weeks time, then we will be able really to bring a new dimension and to show the work of the clusters much better. The revision of the profiles is due to complaints from the cluster community. In fact, they were telling us that we were not showing exactly the type of services that you were offering. That, for example, clusters that were not in the green sectors or considered green sectors, they were also offering technologies that could help very much improve and to be successful in the green transition. This is one of the remarks that we got from the cluster community. So a lot of efforts have been done there to be able now to map what you do in the best possible way. So that's my plea for all of you. Also take the opportunities that a European platform offers, because the reach out is really good. It is an old platform since 2015. So this is nothing new. This is a long term, and it is important that you're also there. Thanks a lot.
Just perhaps two things to add, if I may, Antonio. I think a big thanks to Eva and the Commission colleagues, because they have worked on this platform, I would say, at least as hard as we have. And, we wouldn't be where we were without the enormous commitment, especially of Eva and colleagues. And I think also the word you mentioned, of course, the theme of today and of the series is also the industrial ecosystems. We will also shortly have the informational industrial ecosystems up, and that allows also very quickly to get in touch with other clusters from that ecosystem. So again, we invite you very much to explore. And also, I think, Luca, as we are still, of course, opening the doors, it's possible that if you identify things which are strange or that you do not understand, or where you think there is a mistake, that you contact us, right? So we're very open to all your feedback also on the current website. And how do colleagues do that, Luca? By sending an email, right, to contact at Cluster Collaboration team, right?
Exactly. And there is an help desk available that will reply to you within 24 hours. And we are happy to hear your feedback as well, because this platform is for clusters, and we really appreciate your feedback.
I have
Thank you.
So thank you very much. I am updating the profile of the cluster idea, okay? And I understand, I don't see any question related to the industrial ecosystem. I understand that you are doing it through the NACEX codes, could be?
In the same step of the where you mentioned the NAS codes, there should be also a reference to the industrial ecosystem and alliance. If it's not on the same step, it will be on the following one.
I don't see it, sorry.
As we can get back to it in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
I don't see
Please check in case that this is a technical problem that is going on right now, because that needs to be corrected as soon as possible.
You're in the cluster organization profile, right?
Yes, I am in the IDEA cluster, my cluster IDEA. And this is I understand an updated version of the profile. It's in your new website. And I don't see, I see the access code for sure here in the step 3. But I don't see the industrial ecosystems, you know?
On which step are you?
Are you seeing my screen? Sorry. No, sorry. I thought that I was sharing my screen. Sorry, my mistake. I can share my screen here. This is the, I think that now you are seeing it, no? I am right?
Yes.
This is the cluster idea profile, okay? I'm going to the step 3. Sorry. NACEX codes, okay? But I don't see anything about the industrial ecosystems. You can see my screen.
Yes.
Now we are in step 4.
But you can get back in the chat.
It's there. EU industrial priority areas, alliance, and ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah, areas. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can select one alliance and one ecosystem.
So I should select both?
One from each. Yes. So it won't allow you to select 2 alliances, but 1 alliance and 1 ecosystem.
Multiplayer choice, no more than 1 alliance and 1 ecosystem. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. It was not clear for me. Now it's clear for
No
everybody
worries.
in the meeting. Thank
No,
you.
but that's very good. Thanks, Antonio, for asking this question, because it's good that it's clear for everybody. So please do not hesitate to send your questions if this is not clear to Luca and Jan Martin and to the functional mailbox of the platform, because this is really critical. Hopefully, the more clusters are updating the profiles, the better we will be able to map the economic strength of everybody soon enough. So that's very good question, Antonio. Thank you.
Thanks
It's
so much
important because
And
for
that
showing.
shows that you're already updating. That's a very good example.
for sure, I updated my personal profile also. I see that there is a option to update with more data your personal profile. That's very important. And the organization, I am going to update it yes, today, if possible.
And
Okay,
in
so
my case, for the first time, we will also put the profiles of the public administrations that are working on cluster policy. So it is my task today also to include the profile of the European Commission here as one of the public administrations that is working on public policy. And we hope to be followed also by the member states.
that's perfect.
It's one of the novelties of the new platform.
I am very
Yes.
interested also on the possibility to use forums for the projects. Will it be possible?
Yes,
So
yes, we call it the discussion groups. Please, Luca, explain.
yeah, so there will be discussion groups available for cluster associations, cluster partnerships, and we plan to have one also for alumni of the cluster exchange. These are the specific groups that we are planning to create. There are also new interactive functionalities, for example, private messaging between users, so that communication can stay within the platform.
And there is also the possibility of the creation of discussion groups. And the ones that Luca mentioned are the ones that are already pre-cooked because there was already a demand for them. But then there will also be a possibility to create groups in those areas that are where it is really needed.
Perfect, perfect. I'm really glad to hear that. So congratulations for the new launching. And for sure, we need to encourage our colleagues, our networks to update the profile.
Thanks
So,
to you, Antonio. Yeah, great.
we will remember it every session at the beginning, okay? Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Antonio.
you are welcome. Before entering the topic for today, just for your information, we continue working on the vaccines mapping of production capacities here in Europe. And in fact, we are getting, I think, good information. Okay, we have get now 84 answers to our survey, and we are building the map. There is a very interesting contribution from a cluster member in France, Informa Systems, I think that it's called, that deliver the survey to a list of 80,000 contacts in the pharma industry. And that is an excellent collaboration and an excellent example of what networks can do. And we have a meeting in this same link this afternoon at 2 o'clock with not only with clusters, but also with companies working on this field to continue exploring what can we do to accelerate the production of vaccines here in Europe. So you are invited to spread the invitation to those that are really that can really contribute. Okay, and for sure you are invited to join if you think that you can contribute to it. Any question on this point or the previous one? Sorry, because I forgot to open the floor for questions. Any question on the ACCP new platform?
Hello, Antonio. Good morning. I am Borja da Pena from CEAGA. Hello, Eva. First of all, thank you very much for this call and the restyling of the web. We update 2 days ago also our profile, and now it's very, very complete. In fact, we sent an email in order to our feedback of the new website, and it's very complete. I hope that the new functionality in the new groups is a very good facility in order to create a new discussion between companies and cluster, and I think it's very, very good. And congratulations to the ACCP team. Thank you.
This is very nice. Thank you, Borja.
Yes, thank you. Gracias, Borja. Okay, any question on or comment on the passings mapping? No. So we continue. As I said at the beginning, today we will speak about the ecosystem approach. And as you surely know, we are working in order to, sorry, this is about passings, in order to provide the EU Industrial Forum with our approaches to the new updated industrial strategy. And we have a limit for our answer. It's 18th of February, so next week, Thursday next week. And before answering, we want to get your feedback and your ideas. So there are 3 questions to answer. We discussed the first one during our past session, and today we will dedicate it to the second one. So how can the ecosystem and partnership approach best help to address some of your challenges and build linkages with recovery investment? And we have here people that could help us to understand, to really understand what is the ecosystem approach about. So don't hesitate to contribute, okay? But Nina will make a brief introduction to it. Nina, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Antonio, and hello to everybody. We have been talking about the ecosystem approach for a while now, since we, I think already since early summer last year in our webinars. And just to catch up and as a reminder for everybody what we are actually talking about. So how European Commissioner Thierry Breton said in April 2020 in a published speech that industrial ecosystems in the European Union bring together all actors from a sector. So we're talking about large companies, small SMEs, startups, training centers, research institutes, associated services, suppliers, everybody who contributes to a value chain and beyond in an ecosystem. And while each ecosystem can have its own characteristic, it involves around the same reality, as he put it. So we have our integrated single market with research, engineering, production, assembly, service activities that are spread throughout our member states in Europe. And so the value chain can encompass a lot of different member states and countries and show interdependencies between our countries. And what is also novel with the ecosystem approach, that it encompasses public actors as well in all the considerations taking towards the industrial policy. For example, he gives here an example of encompassing public and private research centers that are essential to our industrial competitiveness. And there are a couple of documents, as was presented by Ola and her team in previous webinars. The industrial ecosystem approach is mentioned in the industrial strategy for Europe that we're talking about, but it is also mentioned in the roadmap for recovery, which is called Europe's Moment Repair and Prepare for the Next Generation, where it is also this interdependency of our countries through our connections in industry in our single market, and that the industrial ecosystems are increasingly connected. And so it also says in the working staff document that that accompanies the roadmap to recovery, that we see the set through the ecosystem lens, the set of interlinkages among sectors and firms spreading throughout countries in the single market. And this is exactly as was shared with us by DG Grow, why this new ecosystem lens is introduced in the industrial policy, because it highlights interdependency between member states. It can help us identify bottlenecks and shortcomings in our single market, and it takes into account the public side and the regulatory context. And altogether, this gives us a dynamic concept that will alter with time and that can be adapted, and that is not a static measure of looking at our industry, but it allows us to be flexible. Yeah, I think these points are I've already mentioned them. So the ecosystems go further than just to look at the individuals, but it goes into the linkages and the networks, and to map all the connections that we have among firms, institutions, and within our sectors, including the public institutions and research centers as key actors, and gives us a flexible unit of observation. And on the next slide, we see the ecosystems that have been identified so far and that are being looked at right now, that we have already discussed in several sessions dedicated to each ecosystem, going from tourism to textiles, electronics, agri-food, health, digital, retail, altogether 14 for now that make up a high percentage of the added value in the European market.
Okay, thank you very much, Nina, for the introduction. And we return to the question. Okay, how can the ecosystem and partnership approach best help to address some of your challenges and build linkages with recovery investments? I need to say that we have received a lot of answers to the vaccines survey, but very few on the policy contributions, you know. So it's very clear for us that we as cluster are more easily involved in concrete actions than in theory. But we need to answer. We need to answer with great contributions, and so we need to build that theory and to explain why we are an important part of those ecosystems. And as far as I understand, clusters and the 14 ecosystem have many shared areas, and we can contribute strongly to the development and the good reinforcing of those ecosystems. But the question is how. So, who can share proposal or ideas with us? Floor is open. Who is the first? Or who has questions?
I can bring in one idea or one, I mean, at the first step, a buzzword, and then we can discuss it. Cross clustering, cross linkage between these industrial ecosystems. I think cluster organizations can be a linkage between these different ecosystems. I think we have examples where they fit in one ecosystem, but I think we have a lot of examples in Germany and in Europe where they interlink different disciplines and different industrial ecosystems. So I think this could be a main point of cross clustering or cross connections between these ecosystems.
Thank you, Lucas. I totally agree. That's one important point. More contributions.
Yes, Antonio, I can say two short things about this. One is about the question of governance. I think that it's very important that when we speak about ecosystems, and clusters are an example of ecosystems, that we can have a very concrete and very practical model of governance so that the members of the ecosystem can participate, sharing their contributions, but at the same time, it must have a coordination. The second point is about evaluation. It's important when we speak about an ecosystem that we have some indicators and some measures that allow the members of the ecosystems to evaluate and to monitorize their contribution and the impact of the ecosystem to the real value for the members that they have. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I don't know if there is a model for governance of ecosystems. As far as I understand, that's not part of the approach, but we don't know for sure because, in fact, the approach has not been fully published. The Commission told us in the forum that it will be published during with the document of the new industrial strategy. But I don't know if they plan on a governance for every ecosystem. And about measure, for sure, it's totally critical to understand how they plan to measure it and what kind of KPIs they plan to use. Jan Martin.
Yeah, I mean, just observation that, of course, the question is, do we compare ecosystems to clusters or to value chains? And I think both, of course, are very valid. And I would say that ecosystems, I mean, in my view, come very much closer to clusters than to value chains. And I think it's almost a recognition of the concepts of clusters in other words. But I think one particular aspect where both ecosystems and clusters are different from value chains is the inclusion of the research landscape. And I think that's extremely important, of course, also in going forward with the new European Horizon Europe programs, that also through research collaboration, and of course, some ecosystems lean themselves more to research than others. But obviously, that is a tremendous hook also towards new partnerships. So I think the research dimension, I mean, almost back to the classical triangle, right? Really is not to be forgotten. I think super important to have the research element be included in all of this. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I totally agree. In fact, I think, as like you, that this is a concept very close to the cluster, but with a European dimension. So perhaps this is very close to the concept of Euro clusters that the DigiGrow, that the unit of FULA is managing at this moment. Perhaps Eva or Christophe could explain about it. Bonjour, Christophe. Would you share with us?
Yes, hello, Antonio.
Hello.
Yes, I think it's a very good point. I mean, here the concept of European industrial ecosystems look as well as the interdependencies and the complementarities between the different actors. I mean, in these ecosystems, and indeed the concept of Euro clusters or the future joint cluster initiatives will aim at fostering cooperations, networking with a view to boost the identification of complementarities and foster these synergies across these sectors to promote really this concept of European industrial ecosystems, so that we explore the complementarities, the synergies. We pool the resources, the expertise, the knowledge that these different actors across Europe can work on jointly with a view to be stronger. I mean, to be stronger at European level, and I think this is a key objective. It is supporting these cooperations, this networking across Europe, among the different actors involved in these ecosystems across Europe to boost their competitiveness and strategic development. So I fully agree with your comment, Antonio.
Merci beaucoup, Christophe. I think that you have put the finger in a critical point. That is the structural collaboration, because we could observe ecosystem as realities. It's like a natural cluster, but we need to organize that collaboration if we want to take the most advantage of it. And that is a cluster organization. In fact, the organization of the innovation links or business links between agents, okay? And I think that is part of the answer that we must translate to the Commission. We need to explain that we are organizing the collaboration, the action inside those ecosystems and between ecosystems. And I was thinking, sorry, preparing this session about what is the difference between the some other kind of organizations and clusters, okay? Because I know many organizations working on textiles or electronics or agri-food, okay? But some of them are very pyramidal, you know, very structured as a classical organization where there are very defined functions strongly defined dependency between areas and isolated areas, and the classical approach for this kind of pyramid institutions. But not, clusters are different. Clusters are flat. You know, the organization, we encourage the flexibility of our activities. We organize them on that way. We encourage the capacity to quickly answer any need from the basis of the organization, from our members. And that I think that we need to highlight. That is one of the strong differences. What do you think?
Antonio, can I talk?
Please.
Yeah,
sure.
This is José Ramón from a cluster, automotive cluster from Aragon. I think that like you are right now explaining, you were explaining, I think that clusters could be the bridge between those ecosystems, because right now we are seeing that different industries, and for example, I put the finger on automotive, is we are getting more and more technologies from different areas like IT and so on, right? So I think that cluster should be the bridge to share these technologies, to share these needs from the industry, the different ecosystems, between ecosystems. I'm not sure if I'm explaining well myself. Finally, we have the structure. Cluster are agile. The cluster have a speed, and then more than those ecosystems. And we should help to flow those information between ecosystems and be again a bridge between different areas. I'm not sure if I explaining myself properly the concept.
I think so. You explained it very well. So interlinkages or cross fertility, I think it's also expressed that way. It's a very important part of our competitiveness at this moment. Sometimes it's critical for being competitive in the market. I totally agree. Yeah. Thank you. Gracias, José Ramón, from CAR, Cluster CAR in Aragon. Okay,
Thanks, Antonio.
more contributions. I will return to the question and please give us ideas of how to answer it. How can the ecosystem and partnership approach best help to address some of your challenges? The challenges of your members or build linkages. So one proposal is to highlight our capacity to interlink, our way to work, our flexibility. Another proposal for Jan Martin is to highlight our capacity to link with the technological centers and the academy, to work on many areas. More ideas.
I would like to add. Yes, if I may. I would like to add an idea I just talked about with a regional policymaker here in Germany some days ago, just recently. In that area, cluster policy has been kind of abolished for some years. So there have been cluster structures developed then for a period of time, like for 5 years. This has been, yes, abolished some kind. And the experience was that the ministry really lost its contact to the regional economy actors, so to say. So I think cluster initiatives are just one way of gaining a direct link, of gaining also influence, of having a direct link to the regional actors, but not in that direct way that you deal with companies or research institutions really at a micro level. So I think it's just a very good tool to have really a linkage from the policymaker view into these ecosystems. And I think therefore that is really one of the big values policymakers have. They have really a partner to discuss actions they are planning and these things. So I think this is a really important point to make here.
Thank you very much, Lucas. I need to introduce Lucas. Lucas is working on the Go Cluster program from BDI organization, and so has a long experience on what he's saying. So it's a very good point. So cluster are a direct bridge between the policymakers and the companies. That's for me a very strong point. Danny. Hello.
Good morning,
Danny.
everyone. Good morning, everyone. Hello, Antonio and friends. Regarding the question that has led me to briefly reflect on something, I'm going to give you an example of something that happened yesterday morning in our cluster. We had a meeting with one automobile maker, which is Nissan, and the member of our cluster and the regional agency that manages the funds to help the city councils do actions on renewable energies and clean mobility. So they put money for the city councils to buy cars and to buy solar panels and refurbish buildings so that they use cleaner energy. Sometimes, why I say this, sometimes you see the bridges, you see the programs for recovery, but the distance from the European level to the ground level, to the local, to the implementation level is too big in our minds to imagine what the process is going to be. So when you have to make the decision whether you need to invest many hours in putting together a project or supporting an initiative that you think could be fruitful in the future, if you don't have clarity on if it's going to be aligned with the idea that you're supporting, you may end up with 4 or 5 months intense work and end up with nothing because it was not compatible or it turned out a different way. Back to the example, the regional agency for these incentives explained step by step what the mechanism looks like and gave instructions, and they said be careful here and here and here because this is the first step, this is the second step, you have to be registered in this registry. This is something that allows you to be confident to push very hard, to bring, now I can go to 50 city councils, to 100 city councils and say, look, we're going to put together a project and you're going to do this, 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 and this. And in 1 year, you end up with an electrified vehicle fleet. You have transitioned from gasoline vehicles to electric vehicles, and you produce all of your energy in renewable way. And we have gotten half of the money from the government, and the rest is paid off via savings. So this is the difference between having the clarity and the security to push strongly. That's why, going back to the question, Antonio, how can this ecosystem help and support our difficulties? Sometimes the key is not in our capacity to support certain initiatives, but in the lack of clarity or maybe choosing the right moment to make your support. Because if you do it too early, you may be pushing in the wrong direction, and you may be wasting your time and your effort. And in the clusters, one of your key assets is the attention of your members. If you waste it on something that is going a different way, you may, what we call, burn the connection, and they get tired of you. If you make them pursue an initiative that is not going to be successful, then next time they will maybe think about it twice before going to a collaboration with you. That's why one of the keys is that we make sure that the lines are as clear as possible in order to communicate them better.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Great contribution. Nina.
Maybe to add directly to what you said, Annie, we have been talking about the recovery investments, about all the funds that are going to come in, and also the problem that SMEs might have to access money and funds, and the resources needed for recovery. And one topic was one problem that we identified in several webinars was that they don't get access to the calls. And by taking the ecosystem lens and the approach that all actors in this ecosystem are relevant and are interlinked, that might also be good when looking at the recovery instruments to say, okay, then they are also eligible for funding all the actors, and to put these approaches together so that the money can reach all the actors in the ecosystem that are relevant for making innovation.
Perfect. So we are speaking about how clusters or ecosystems are related, but in fact, the question is not about that. I know that I facilitated that approach, but we could see the question from another perspective, is how would we suggest to organize the concept of ecosystems on the new EU policy, industrial policy. So how would we suggest to define the ecosystems and the partnerships? How will we measure them, for example, or what kind of governance could we suggest? If it's clear that we are going to have ecosystems defined by the European Commission, so what kind of suggestion can we do in order to define them in the best way to address those challenges? I mean, how, for example, could the ecosystems being measured or organized? How can we, what kind of tables or exchanges, and who should be invited to participate? Meaning, for sure, not only the clusters, but also others. Do you have ideas on proposals on that question? I don't know. Now I don't know if I have been clear. Sorry.
Hello? Can I speak?
For sure.
It's Emmanuel Robbins from Polavenia in France. I think the more the value chain is included in the ecosystem, and the more efficient the ecosystem will be. We face that in our cluster, is that we have a lot of people, for example, working on different topics, but then because we deal with all the energy from the underground, extractive energies, and for example, we are included in some working groups around batteries, but the people from our cluster mentioned that the extractive part of the raw materials is not fully included, and sometimes it's not even addressed in the by the politics or national initiatives. So I think the ecosystem would have more energy if the full value chain was included, from raw materials or extractions in our case to the final product and applicants, and not customers, but again the full value chain from A to Z.
I totally agree on that.
Including I can't find the words, but I agree with the person who spoke earlier that we need to include the some people around the legal framework and etc.
The problem with that approach is that usually, if we want to measure, we need to limit, to put limits to or define the ecosystems. And one problem with that is that there is the easiest way to do it is through the NACEX code, you know. And I had many problems with that, very practical problems, but because some authorities, I will not say the names, define entities as clusters by the access codes of their members, and that is practical but not realistic, and not flexible, and not really close to the real dynamics of the members, as you very well say, Manuel. So how to mix that?
But I think maybe a cluster would be more dynamic and more flexible and more reactive if it has just a little part of the value chain, for example. And for the full value chain to be complete, I think this is how I see the European Cluster Alliance, is that there could be a sort of not a structure, but something helping and facilitating the arrangement of the different clusters along the value chain. So maybe one cluster could be at the beginning of the value chain and be very active because it's more focused. And then a second cluster working together in the European Cluster Alliance. And this is why I want to integrate this alliance, is that clusters can connect together, and then in a sort of structuration of the clusters, we can position ourselves along topics or along value chain, which is, well, it's a suggestion.
That's a very good approach, Manuel. I didn't thought that. It's a network of networks, no? Facilitating the connection between networks.
Yes.
That could be Euroclusters also, I understand. Great contributions. Okay, we have 5 minutes. Aurora. I didn't read your messages. Would you share?
Good morning. We have worked so much during the first phase of these meetings, and that work should not be just ignored or put in some place. And I think we should capitalize on that and go deeper, and not keeping asking the same type of questions. Although the public may have changed a little, we have new people contributing, which is the best thing. let's grow the group. But if we create more awareness of what has been done, we could add on, keeping adding on, and that would be for sure more more productive.
Okay, I understand what you are saying. Yes, we have been discussing the same point for many weeks. I understand it. But now we have a different opportunity, because we have the opportunity to make to take the message to the highest level possible in the industrial strategy. So yeah, but I get your idea, Aurora, and we will go deeper for sure during this year. We'll go to more detail and to create real value in the next discussion. For example, there is a very interesting session in the agenda for sure next week. They are interesting too, but on the 23 we will have a discussion with some experts from the DigiConnect on the Digital Act, and another very interesting session. I think, I don't know if it is confirmed. Nina knows probably, on the 25th on circular economy. Nina, is it confirmed by now?
No, not yet.
We are close. Okay, but anyway, it will be soon. But I totally agree, Aurora.
My point, Antonio, is only that sometimes even me, that I have been here since the beginning and rarely miss, even me, I'm lost about the information gathered. For instance, these slides with the 14 ecosystems, they show different information in different days, although some are equal. This one you're showing, for instance, in electronics, has only one line on the 2nd of February, when Ula, Marek, and you made presentations. This same ecosystem had more lines. So I really get lost about the information gathered, what we can use as a base for all the linkages that have been identified, the dependencies, what should be more strengthened, and the weaknesses. We've made so much work. For sure needs to be updated, because all the crises have created more changes than usually. But we cannot lose that, and especially because we have access to more more important people with more power. So if we lose information, we show more weakness than we have. When I say we, is mainly clusters, but I now feel part of this too.
You are part. You are a strong part. Okay, it's true that there is not many information on the ecosystem, and there are not many, but several versions of this graph. And I am sure that we don't have the last one. And I hope that with the publication of the industrial strategy, we will have a better view of it. Yeah, that was one of the requests on the first meeting of the EU Policy Forum, Industrial Forum, sorry. And the answer is that it will be defined, better defined on the updated industrial strategy. But the good news is that we have now the opportunity to influence the definition. As it is not closed, we can influence it. And we should and must do it with the best possible proposals, very well explained, convincing them. And this is the task for now. Okay, thank you very much to everyone. It has been again a very interesting session. Thank you to Jan Martin and the ECCP team, and congratulations for the launching of the new version. I again encourage you to update as soon as possible your profile, and to, if you can, recommend it also to your colleagues. We will continue. Remember that during the next day, because it's a very important step to have a full view of our ecosystems and our capacities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.